Hello there and welcome to M Creates, where we solve problems through great design. Today I'm going to be taking you through the 5 top tools that I use in my everyday life as a graphic designer and some of the go-to things that I use when I work with clients. So these might not come as a surprise to all the graphic designers and artistic people out there, but if you're just starting out, I hope this can be quite useful for you. So my first go-to tool is, of course, my laptop. It's a MacBook Pro. A lot of designers will say they cannot live without theirs either. Honestly, if I lost mine or if it broke, I would actually cry. I use it every day. I never really turn it off, which is a bad thing. Always turn off your Mac every day for the memory. Speaking of memory, I think the one I have at the moment is only 16 gig of RAM. Now, doing a lot of video editing, the more memory you have, the better. So I am probably going to upgrade soon to maybe a 32 or a 64. But have a look out there, see what's right for you and the kind of work that you do. If you're using all Adobe applications, I'd recommend getting as much memory as possible because they do drain it quite a lot. Saying that, you don't always need a laptop for design. I did start on an iPad, but I just found that for the client work that I was doing, the apps just didn't have the capability and the full range of tools that I wanted to use. So laptop all the way. There are brilliant Windows options as well. I'm personally not an expert in those. I've had Mac since I was at university, so I am Mac till I die. Now, the second thing that I cannot live without as a graphic designer is the full Adobe Creative Cloud suite. Now, I know what you're thinking, Emma, that is pricey. And yes, it is. I think in the UK it's £50 a month for the full Creative Cloud suite. However, I've always found that if you just message Adobe and say, hey, can I have it cheaper? They've always said yes to me, so I get it at a discount at the moment. I know there are student discount options as well, so do make sure you check that out. But by the time you pay for, I think, Photoshop and the photography plan, I think is £10 a month, so that's great if you're just doing photography or some basic graphics that are pixel based. I think Illustrator by itself is probably about £20. Again, cost of living, this has probably gone up and I haven't checked it in a very long time, so have a check. But by the time you probably just buy Illustrator and Photoshop, that's already £30 a month. May as well go full Creative Cloud and expand on your skills, and that's exactly what I've done. I've upskilled in Premiere Pro, After Effects, XD as well. There's so many applications that Adobe have that are just so worth the money. Honestly, you've got to invest to go far. There are free options out there though. I know a lot of people who use free editing software for videos and photos as well, so have a look out there and see what works for you. But personally, Adobe is the holy grail of my work. I use it for all of my client projects and honestly cannot live without it. The third thing I cannot live without, now if you're a designer or a creative person or you're someone who just uses a lot of files, the worst thing that could happen is that your laptop crashes, your external hard drive corrupts, and all of a sudden you have lost all of this work and all of your files. Now, the way I've never had an external hard drive, touch wood, I have never had my laptop crash or lose any documents. The number one reason for that is that I have cloud storage. Please, please, please invest in cloud storage. It's not too expensive as things go. I've got 2 cloud storages at the moment. I've got iCloud, 2 terabytes, which syncs with my Mac. So it looks like that my files are on my laptop, but they're not, they're actually in the cloud, which is fantastic. I also have OneDrive. Again, that's another 2 terabytes, and I use that for my client work, so they can always access their files. So honestly, I never have to stress about, oh my gosh, if I lose my external hard drive or if my laptop breaks, I know that all of my documents are safe on the cloud. To be honest, both of my subscriptions are less than £20 a month, so to me, it's an investment that's worth not having the stress of losing my files. So would 100% recommend iCloud and OneDrive as cloud storage solutions. Now, the fourth thing that I cannot live without as a brand designer and kind of graphic creative designer and creative person in general is mockups. Now, mockups are fantastic for bringing some life to your designs and letting your clients see what the potential outcome of your designs and graphics could be. So If you're not using them, definitely jump on it and use them. There are so many different websites that you can get mockups from. Creative Market for one, Unblast Mockups is a free mockup resource. There's also Mr. Mockup. So many websites out there, you can definitely find some free resources. If you want to get really fancy and you have your own camera, you can even create your own mockups. That's something that I'm a little bit too scared to do at the moment, but there are so many sites where you can buy amazingly beautiful mockups, and honestly, have a try. There's loads of video tutorials on how to make mockups on Photoshop if you get the PSD files. Definitely recommend doing it, and it really does breathe new life into your design work. So another thing that I cannot live without at all, and you probably guessed it because I'm filming on it right now, is my camera. I did jump in and invest in a DSLR, so I have a Canon EOS 850D. I'm probably gonna cringe a lot of photographers and videographers out, but I'm just using the basic package kind of starter pack lens, which is an 18 to 55mm. I find it works really well. I did start off with a more junior model of Canon, and it really just wasn't bringing the quality that I wanted. So I upgraded a bit, got the 850. It is such a great investment. I personally couldn't live without it. It comes in really handy with a lot of my client projects as well. So the amount of people that I've started branding projects with who possibly don't have the right photography assets that are needed, I can always kind of step in and help out, do some photography, do some videography, make some really great promo packages for them as well. So I personally cannot live without a camera. Do you need it as a graphic designer? Definitely not. The specs that you have on phone cameras nowadays is fantastic. iPhone portrait mode, brilliant. I don't know what they've done with that, but yeah, honestly cannot live without my Canon at all. And finally, the one thing that I cannot live without, and I know this is going to be on the 5 things that I cannot live without, is caffeine. As a designer and as a freelancer who works outside of my 9 to 5 doing graphics and kind of branding, is I do a lot of late nights and a lot of early starts. So honestly, I cannot get through without sips of caffeine. Monster, if you don't like the white kind of sugar-free ones, you're missing out. Love an espresso in the morning, maybe multiple times a day too. But honestly, I need that caffeine kick just to get me through this. Thank you so much for watching. That is all from me for this week, but please do like and subscribe to keep in the loop with our weekly graphic design tips and behind the scenes videos. But until the next one, that's all from me. Goodbye.